first time I went there, it was more of, I'm not going to be here long. You know, I was always an entrepreneur. I had a barbershop. I was into tech. I was into all kind of stuff. I was like, man, I'm going to be here about 2 years. Went there and I'm working, money coming in, and the work was easy. But one thing I did learn by working around other people who work, they hand down their life lessons on you on how you could do something that you know you wasn't built to do. What do I mean by that? When I went there, I said, well, how long you've been here? You know, the OGs, they go, y'all been here 30 years. I got about 15 left. I'm like, damn, you've been here 30 years? No way, I'm doing 30 years. You know, you got other guys who, yeah, I've been here 15 years and I got another 15 to go and I do this and, you know, the money. And I'm thinking after a while, that shit started working on me. I could do this. I could do 30 years. I could do 15 years. And my brain, I started transforming into this person. And then it hit me and I said, you mean to tell me there's nothing better you could do for 30 years besides come to somebody else's job and wait for them to come and snatch your dream away from you by saying you fired? There's nothing else you can do. That's when it, like, literally that mindset of taking my salary, because your job is your first business partner. I want to tell that to everybody within the sound of my voice. Your job is your first business partner. It's the first thing that believes in you and invests in you. Once I had that mindset, my job's my first business partner, because you got to think about something. Social media wasn't around when I started working for Verizon in 1995. There wasn't no blueprint to me to go look at somewhere and watch people talk about real estate, talk about credit repair, talk about this, that. No, I had to figure this shit out on my own. But once I got that first piece of property in 99 that my dad wanted me to have, I was so excited. I bought this brownstone, I gutted out this brownstone, and I'm in there and I'm like at the ground floor of this property and I'm looking up. You know, there's no floors, there's no electric, there's no nothing. So imagine me in the basement looking all the way up to the roof, 3 floors up, and I'm going, yo, my dad would be so proud of me right now if he saw what I did. He would be so amazed that my son did it. But I also looked up and I said, I never want to do this shit again. This was hard work. Doing that renovation, gutting it out, that was work. So now I said, how can I take this real estate thing and now transform this into making money where I don't have to work hard? Remember, there was no social media around. So the next thing I did was I said, you know what, I want to get another piece of real estate, but I became a landlord. Brother, one thing us real estate investors do not talk enough about, we're starting to hear more with social media, is what it's like to be a landlord. That's some of the most tumultuous, hard work to do. Having somebody else tell you when they're going to give you money, you have to go do this, you have to go do that. Like, I couldn't do it. I already had a foreman. I didn't need tenants to be my boss. So that turned me off from buying real estate. But one thing that did happen after I bought the brownstone and time went on, I realized cash flow was king for me at the moment, because it was money I didn't have to go get, that cash flow coming in from tenants. So I said, I want to buy more real estate. A friend of mine introduced me to somebody who said, you know what, I own real estate that I don't manage. I said, what do you mean you don't manage it? He said, nah, I don't deal with tenants. I don't collect the rent. I don't do any of that. I said, well, how's this possible? He said, yeah, I have a management company. So that's as far as the conversation went. So I went online, started looking Google, all this stuff. I was like, oh shit, I can really start getting properties. First thing I did with my money that I took from Verizon that I was saving, I took $8,000. I bought a property in Indianapolis, property manager. It was making $600. It was making $800 from Section 8. My mortgage was only $200 and some odd dollars. So let's say I was making cash flow $600 a month. Now the $8,000 was the down payment on the property, which was $40,000. You know, they were able to give loans for that type of property. So now I took $8,000. I'm making $7,200 at the end of the year, and I don't have to manage it. I said, yo, that's insane. I'm making a great return. So now that's when I went to start looking at more out-of-state real estate, more properties that were tenant occupied. Didn't have to find a tenant. There was already Section 8 because Section 8 was paying the rent. And I just went buying more and more and more and more and more, building up my portfolio, partnering with people. And in 5 years, I walked out the door owning over $2 million worth of property. Went on Instagram Live and said, guess what, y'all? I'm leaving my job. You could do the same thing. Start saving up your money. Here's how you do it.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into exactly how someone can go, even if they're still working in a job, how they can start building their real estate portfolio. But before we do, something you said right in the beginning of your answer, which I thought it's like such a relatable thing, right? Which is, and I did exactly the same thing. You go into, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur from when I was 14, 15 years old. You go into a job after university or school or whatever it is, and you're like, I'll be here for a little bit, I'll just see what it's like, get used to it a little bit. And then years start to go by. Then you start building up like a lifestyle. Now you have an apartment, maybe you have a car note, you're going on vacation twice a year. Like your whole life is built around this job. And there's a certain comfort that comes with it. Like I saw it living in New York, you're going out to dinner with friends on the weekend, you're going out to the bars, the clubs, your whole life is centered around, I work during the week. Then I have the weekend where I get to enjoy life. Maybe I get my couple of weeks of PTO. There's a whole lifestyle that's built around it. And there's a comfort. There is nothing more addictive, at least that I felt. There's nothing more addictive than that salary, that paycheck hitting your account every 2 weeks. And so I'm curious, when you reflect on your story, what is like in your mind the pinnacle of you just being in that comfort zone of almost falling into that trap that your dad was trying to warn you about, of just doing the hard work, of just showing up without that real long-term plan? Like, what comes to mind?
Overtime. Like Verizon, I was getting tons of overtime. I mean, when you're getting overtime and you're making thousands of dollars in a week, that was like, same thing. Taking me trips, get me a car. We can now hang out. I can do this. But guess what? I needed to go back to the well to do the work if I wanted the money to now maintain that lifestyle, though. To me, have a nice apartment, for me to have a nice car, for me to be able to say, yeah, I deserve this. I earn this. Yeah, that's what it was. But when I realized, well, once I got hurt, I wasn't getting that money no more. So remember, I got hurt at work. So now I'm home and I'm like, oh, I ain't getting that disability. I'm not getting that overtime. I'm getting disability money. But yeah, I got this car note now. I had this lifestyle. That realization of this is the money that you'll be forced to make if you physically can't get up and go to work every single day. How will you survive off of that number? That's the number I want people to look at. Not the number you make when you can physically get up. All it takes is one slip and fall, broken disc, slip disc, shattered knee, anything. Can you live off of that number?